Hey everybody. On the 15th of August 2021, this episode of Tbh was recorded. 5 days later, the date of the airing of this episode, I received the news of the passing of my father. I just want to publicly express gratitude to everybody that's been sending condolences and prayers my way. I truly, truly do appreciate it. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TBH. To be honest, I am truly, truly excited about this episode for a number of reasons. So today we have Zara Marie Henry. Zara, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Hi, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure having you. So this is the first time, and this is the first, in all my episodes, this is the first time we're actually speaking, like having a conversation. We've messaged each other over
Right.
social media, over Instagram, but it's actually our first time speaking. We just met like 2 minutes before we started recording, said a word of prayer, and we're jumping right in. So,
Authenticity right here, okay?
right,
Is what it is.
what you see is what you get. That's it. All right. So, how do I know of you? So, this is how I know of you.
Okay.
It would have been maybe 6 weeks ago thereabout. I'm not sure exactly, maybe 2 months ago, where one of my friends, Ashley Pusey, messaged me. Now she's not really like friend. Like we knew each other when I used to live in Mandeville back in the day when she was in high school. And we met at something. And then we kind of lost contact after that. To say lost contact is an overstatement because we were never like friends.
Friends, right. I feel you. I know them ways.
And then I got a message out of the blue, right? So I don't know how she got my number, but she got my number. And she said that she was like blessed by the podcast and she was really enjoying it. And I was like, wow. And then she said that there's this girl, she has a friend named Zara Marie who who does similar stuff. And she would love to see, Zara on the podcast. So I was like, all right, cool, make the link. And so I hit you up and we spoke on Instagram. Also, I did an episode where I had like persons who tune into the podcast, they ask questions and I would answer them. And they asked about me possibly collaborating. And they had suggestions of persons. And this is after we spoke, and this is after we agreed to have you on the podcast.
Right. I remember.
Right. And you were actually one of the persons that she said she'd want to have on. So it's just like, wow, it's just so crazy how this works out. But I know that you shared with me your, I guess, introduction to me, or like how you knew of me from like Inspiration.
Yeah, from Inspiration days. And of course, you float around social media with your poetry and with your book. And so I knew about the choir and you leading the choir. So when Ashley mentioned it to me, I was like, yeah, I saw the podcast. I saw people sharing the podcast and everything. I feel like it's a very powerful thing. I've never collabed with anybody before, not because I never really wanted to, but just because, with COVID and stuff and just not having the time. And I'm also pretty new to YouTube. So when she suggested it, I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. It would be something. So it was pretty natural for me. I wasn't awkward or anything. I was like, yeah, man, I know Dale. Come let me know you from a long time. Yeah, we just get it going.
Yeah. And then you revealed to me that you are a part of, I guess, the committee that had Shahaya come to Inspiration. That's 2015.
Yeah, and we had to work hard for that, but we got.
I remember we were supposed to come 2017, but it didn't work out like with funds for transportation or whatever. But and I attended Inspiration my first time 2017, and I saw the vibe. And I was like, yo, I really wish Shahaya could have been here.
And it's a vibe. I actually planned that one that you guys came to that year. And I remember wanting the vibe, and I was like, the only choir I know can do this would be Shahai. And I was like, how do I get them from Mandeville? First of all, we have a budget that we never know how it's going to get paid. And then we said, but to get a whole choir, we're going to have to get a whole bus. But the Lord, He has a cattle. He has cattle upon 1,000 hills. So we him just sell one of the cattle, and we got the money. So it was a blessing, and I followed the choir ever since.
I appreciate that. All right, so there's a question that I ask all my guests. Funnily, I actually forgot to ask the last guest, but I won't make that mistake again. So, who is Zara Marie? Who is Zara Marie Henry?
This is a girl. This is a girl from down at Clarendon. I like to consider myself a servant of God. I do His work in the ways that a lot of people are afraid to do because I don't mind having these difficult conversations. I am a content creator. I create faith-based content predominantly and a little lifestyle, just because the more you create other type of content, the more people are interested in about what you do daily. And I'm a very big advocate of actually showing people that being a Christian is more than just waking up every Sabbath or every Sunday and going to church. It's more than just singing on the choir, but it's an entire lifestyle. So I really try to convey that through my content. So that's pretty much me for the most part. I'm a law student-ish. I don't know where I am because I am waiting to be called to the bar, so I have finished. So, but that part of my life is it's kind of the part that your profession is something that you do because you're good at it. You do it because you feel as if you can make a change in this sphere. But my true passion really lies in content creation. Hopefully one day I can do that full time. I don't know. We'll see.
Man, I hope that works out for you for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I've seen the content and it's good and it's interesting. It's hard to be honest. It's hard to catch. Not a lot of things interest me, right? so yeah, like there. Should I say this? I'm gonna say it. Maybe it'll help me in the future. So a lot of times, persons like might share their songs with me or their poems with me, and and I don't like it because no, sometimes it's good. Sometimes some of my friends like Leslie, my friend Leslie, she always has good poems and stuff. But it's just so hard for me to like critique persons, especially this is my friend or whatever. Saying all that to say, saying all that kind of to say, y'all can kind of easy back on send me stuff. But saying all that to say, not everything interests me, but your stuff, I've actually sat down and I've watched it. So that's that says something.
I appreciate that.
I remember you gave an analogy about like the cell phones, the iPhone, but you have to customize it for So saying all of that, why I'm so excited about this topic is we're gonna be talking about Christian dating. Now let me tell you something.
Ooh.
I have my pen and my paper. Young men, ladies, take note. We're gonna be hearing from the perspective of two young Christian persons, just our thoughts. We're not the authority on anything, but our thoughts and our views on Christian dating. Many times I've gone to AY program and they're talking about Christian dating, and it's kind of like the same 5 surface level steps that they give.
Don't be unequally yoked.
Don't be unequally yoked. Don't be alone in the house. Go out with groups. Meet the parents.
Yeah.
But
don't start too early.
What's that?
Don't start too early. Yet still they send us to camp and tell us to get a date. I never get it. It don't make sense.
Wow. So what we want to do is we want to talk about like what actually affects us, our thoughts, our practices, all those things. So the first thing I want to ask you is this: you're a female, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have female friends. I'm sure you have female friends that might be single. What do you think is like a major challenge as it relates to, maybe you can speak for young ladies or young persons in general, like finding a mate? What are some of the challenges persons have finding that person?
It's interesting that you asked that question because last week I had a potluck with a few friends and we discussed the same perspective, but from the female side. And I can give that and then I can tell you the male perspective as well. And then you can chip in.
Sure.
So one of the biggest things that I've recognized as a problem personally, and even when I hear others talk, is the fact that it's really, really hard to find balance. So for us, balance seems as if you need to be balancing career, you need to be balancing your social life, and all of these things for the world, I mean. But for us as Christians, it really is a balance between being true in your identity, in your Christian identity, and also being social. Like you can go a road, you can socialize, you can hold a meds, you can hang out, you can be adventurous. And I think we are recognized as Christians, both men and women, that it's very hard to find somebody who has struck a real good balance. So sometimes they're either super religious, so spiritual, every day I mean, the Bible is good, don't get me wrong, but every day they're only talking about the Bible. They're always in the Bible. It's always a conversation about prophecy. It's always wanting to do these very, very good, but always religious things. And you carry them out, them can't dress properly. They're not interested because it's vanity. They can't behave normal outside of church. Like they don't know how to hold a meds. And I find it especially on the worldly side. So it's either they're like that, or this is the other part now. They're so laid back, very lukewarm. They just go to church, warm in bench, and they think that they have the identity as a Christian, even worse as a Seventh-day Adventist, and they go to church and they participate, but they're shallow, very shallow. They can't hold a conversation. Every conversation them have is always on the other side of the spectrum. They don't want to talk about godly things. No, they don't pray. That's not a part of their persona. And it's hard because you want to be able to grow in grace. You want to be able to grow as a Christian. But at the end of the day, we're still living in a world and we're still humans. We have human needs as well. So we want to be able to be social beings. We want to be able to have fun. And it's not, I don't think it's separate. I don't think being spiritual and being religious should be separate, because what we should be doing is living out the Bible. Sometimes we know the Bible so much, we read it, but we don't live it out. So we're not showing the fruits in our daily lives. We're not nice to people. We're very stringent. We don't give second. We're not open-minded. So we don't even give somebody else the opportunity to tell us their concept, And frankly, sometimes we're boring, but we don't try to look on things from the side of how can I make this situation fun as a Christian? It's just like, oh no, Christians mustn't have fun. No, Christians mustn't go there. So Christians, but where do we go instead? So that's maybe the biggest problem for me. Biggest problem I've heard about finding a balance, finding somebody who can find a good balance and actually live out the Bible. So that's it from my perspective. What about you?
So I'll share from my perspective, meaning not from what I've heard other persons. All right, so before I continue, I get to understand you're not single.
No, I'm not.
And I am single. So we're getting all these different opposites.
Single. I mean, I still taking single in the passport form.
Not married, but not available. Like
right.
Right. So, and then I am single in every sense of the word, right? So we're getting every perspective today. For me personally, it's just weird where it's like the, and I don't know if this is a male thing, or if it's like males like the chase kind of thing, which to me that's not the case, but maybe subconsciously, I don't know. But like the girl them will are dead over me. I just don't find them like,
you're not interested,
right?
Yeah.
And then it's like the ones that I find myself like super into, They were like me, like in some cases they were like me, but there's always some either some
Like
trauma.
apprehension.
They just come out of a relationship and they're hurt, or it's always some or them just like we meet today and then next week them a migrate. Like it's always something like that. And so it's always just been a case where it's just never aligned. Let me not say it's never aligned, because it has aligned in the past and I've messed up stuff. Like badly. Yeah, like legit. But the balance issue that you brought up is interesting, and it made me think about this when you brought that up. So if a girl likes the guy, right, but the guy is too worldly, as you said, he's not really living the life. Some
Yes.
girls might take the approach, or maybe vice versa. Some guys may take the approach,
That they can change them.
right, right.
Mhm.
And I
Like,
always see people, bash out against that, like you can't change anybody, which I agree with. At the same time, a relationship is supposed to help both persons to grow.
for sure, for
So
sure.
how do you find that balance between like what's trying to change somebody and
Mhm.
what's trying to enhance
Help
somebody
them
and to
grow.
help them grow? Like
Yeah.
how do you strike that balance?
Well, for me, it's not okay. So I don't think that spiritual growth is very linear. I don't think that it is, oh, you have to do X, Y, Z to say that you're spiritually mature, because spiritual maturity to me might look different for you, because at some point you were struggling with something that I wasn't struggling with, and vice versa. So I don't think there's a checklist for what spiritual growth and spiritual maturity would look like. However, what is very neutral amongst everybody who wants to grow spiritually is actual desire. So you might not be at a space where you feel like you are fully connected with God, and that is okay. It is, and I think that sometimes we think that it's not okay, and we think that, all right, because we're not there, we're not worthy. It's okay to not feel as if you're there, but you can want to be there. And with wanting to be there, no, that person who you're with, they can help you along that journey, and then the Holy Spirit can do its thing, but Mike can do his thing. Wow, excuse you, Zara. But my issue is when you blatantly will tell me, say, it's a mistake. I remember one time this guy, they tell me, say, yeah, man, we don't have to have sex, but we can have a little fun. And I'm like, you mean by little fun? Please be clear, sir. Excuse me, because so right then and there, that you must say, listen, there, because it's hard. Dating, dating is not an easy thing, especially when you die into flesh and all of that, right? So it is generally hard. So can you imagine if you already go into that situation knowing that you are pulling down boundaries and knowing that you're not even trying, you have no desire to grow any at all, you have no desire to develop that part of your life because you kind of give up from the get-go. So I think that's where you can understand to strike the balance. Is this person, maybe you have been in the church longer, or maybe you have been reading more, or maybe you and God kind of dip on the journey a little bit longer. So you and him have this relationship that's different from the other person. The other person isn't there, and that is okay. I've never been one to say, you know, nice young man in the church and this girl just come out of nowhere and take him and whatever. No, I've never been that one, but I've always been the one to say that if somebody wants to grow spiritually, and you and them can be in a relationship and you help them to grow. But the difference is when the blatant to say, yo, I can't bother with that, or yeah, man, we got church because you want me to go. It should never be like that. It should be a thing where both of you, because as I would have said, we still have room to grow. None of us are perfect. And in the spiritual walk, there's always us. There might be something that the person who has been in there for 10 years and the person who just come in and the new person knows more than you, or can show you a different light, or can help you to understand or let go of some of our bad characteristics. So it's really desire. That's really where we strike the balance. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So what was the guy's definition of a little fun?
Me never take him on, honestly. Me never take him on. And
Hey guys, thank you for watching so far. Now for the answer to that question, And to see all of part 2 where Zara shares what are some turn-offs for her and other females, check part 2 out right here.